Greetings and welcome to my brand new series of questions you didn't know you had. The first question in the series is, how do I teach students to play with emotion? And the answer is, it's not just one thing. I can't just tell a student, okay, we'll play it happily, and then walk away and expect them to actually play it happily. That's not going to happen. Uh, and although it's a lot of things, the first four things that came to mind is I have them play along with backing tracks, jam along with backing tracks. I discuss with them the title of the piece, the tempo of the piece, the dynamics, which is loud and soft, and any other markings that are in the music that would indicate how the music is to be performed. I demonstrate how music should be phrased and then have the students play it back to me. And over time, I build their intuition. The more pieces you learn how to play, the easier it becomes to understand the intent behind the music and then convey it properly. So let's get into this in a little more detail. I'm going to start with talking about playing with backing tracks. There are ways to do this. Now, over the past few years, I've been putting my beginners in a program called Piano Marvel, which is, instead of a method book, it's an app on an iPad, or it's a website that they play along with backing tracks. Like, the music is in front of them and it plays along and they jam to it. They hear the mood of the music through the backing tracks and then play along with it. One of the reasons why I really love the Piano Marvel program and having students play along and reflecting the mood of the music through the backing tracks is that it gives them a sense of a strong beat, which is something that's really hard to teach beginners. A lot of times they put the notes first to such an extent that they will stop the music just to get to that right note. And although notes are important and accuracy is important and something that they should be striving for, musicality is more important. And if there's not a strong beat when they're playing, you just can't connect to it emotionally. The audience can't, nor the performer. So that's why I love Piano Marvel so much, is because from day one, they are playing with a strong beat. And that does help you emotionally connect to the music, feel it, and dance with it. This next part is kind of long. The title, the tempo markings, the dynamics, and the articulations. Pretty much every composition has a lot of markings in the music that need to be considered when performing. Even the key signature needs to be considered, because if it's in a major key, it's probably going to be happy and positive. If it's a minor key, it's probably going to be more reflective and serious. But that's just the icing on the cake. There's so much more to it. So I like to discuss the title, because in a lot of cases, the title will help. Now, it's not all cases. There are a lot of pieces out there called sonata, and that's just the sonata is a form of music. So sonata number one, sonata number two, that's not going to tell you anything about the mood. Same with etude. Etude could mean anything. Some etudes are very happy. Some etudes are very serious, but an etude is a piece that leans heavily on technique. So those won't help, but I just recently put out a tutorial on The Butterfly by Makapar. Now, it's called The Butterfly, so it's not going to be minor and plodding. Nothing like that. It's going to be light, leggero, which means light. By the way, piano students learn a ton of Italian because the markings that are written in music are written in Italian. So they'll learn things like how to play light, little fluttery passages. And they know not to mark each note, but to just do a quick little motion to reflect the butterfly fluttering along. Then there's the tempo. There are tempo markings that students memorize over time. One of the most popular ones is allegro. Allegro means fast and cheerful. So it's not super fast like presto. Presto means you're running from a bear fast. It's more of you're dancing or skipping along. There's also adagio. Adagio is a very broad tempo, so it's not fast. It's not dirge slow like lento, but at the same time, it's a very intentional tempo, and it would be used for something like a slow march. So these things are discussed, and what mood would be conveyed through adagio or allegro. And then there's dynamics and articulations, and this is where it gets really tight. Whereas something like the title is more broad, or the key signature is more broad, when it comes to the dynamics and the articulations, that's the detail work. And so dynamics is how loud or soft to play, and not just how loud or soft, but getting louder, getting softer. Maybe the section is building to a climax. It might start softly and get louder, 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 and then boom, it's a climax. Or vice versa. Maybe the music's just dying away. It's getting softer and slower until it's gone. So those convey different moods and are things that need to be discussed. And then articulations is how you attack the piano. So you can play with your notes connected. That might be something flowing. Here's a nice legato. I'm even using some pedal. Added an extra note in there. But when you hear that, you think of it as kind of a reflective, connected piece. You can also play staccato. Staccato is disconnected, like popcorn. So something like that, completely different attitude. And then there's even things like accents where just the music is louder than the other notes. And that has a mood to it. Or marcato, where you sink into each note. You would use that for certain purposes. So we discuss all these fine details, especially as they get more into intermediate and advanced. We do discuss them with beginners, but usually there's only a few dynamic markings and not too much textures with the articulations. And then when you're advanced, it's a whole wide palette. And all of it needs to be noted and reflected. I also teach through demonstration a lot. One of the great things about my studio is I am at my own piano while the student is at their piano, so I can play through the phrase of music that they're working on and even talk about my goals while playing and be like, well, this is getting louder. Listen how each measure I play gets a little bit louder than the last. And then I'll have them do it back for me so that they can hear it and then immediately repeat it. And that helps them remember it too. So demonstration is a great way to teach emotion and how to play and project not just notes and rhythm, but an actual story through song. Okay, and then last is intuition. So I ask a lot of questions of students when I'm teaching them a piece, especially a piece that might have a lot going on in it. And this is so that they can intuitively start building a sound story, a sound picture when they're playing. So I will ask them, what are you thinking of when you play this piece? Does this piece make you feel sad or happy or excited? What feelings come out when you're playing this piece? If this piece was in a movie, what would be going on the screen while the piece was playing? So a lot of questions like this helps the student to connect emotionally to it and be able to add a variety to their playing of louder, softer, all those things which not only engage them as they perform, but also engages the audience while they listen and makes it a much more pleasant experience overall. And I'm just going to keep it at that. There's so much more. We live with emotion, so of course we play with emotion, and it just comes through in our daily practice and our lessons and our performances. And it is discussed, but also it just grows. It blooms like a flower, the budding pianist, right? And so those are 4 of the things that I use to help get that going, because I definitely don't want my student checked out while they're playing. I don't want to be checked out while I'm playing. What's the point if you're not getting some emotional gratification from your performance? So this is the first question in an ongoing series of questions you didn't know you had. I hope you have found it engaging and enlightening, and that I hope it gave you some insight in what students learn in piano lessons. If you're interested in signing your child or yourself up for piano lessons, please check out my website, thebuddingpianist.com. And you can sign up for a free consultation or 30-minute lesson there. Growing through the joy of music.